And you're listening to this Friday morning edition of Green Mountain Mornings, your place for news, information, and community. Temperatures creeping up at 67 degrees outside, 15 minutes past the 8 o'clock hour. And it's Natalie Knowles in for Chris Lenoir. And I am delighted to welcome Randy Holhut of the Commons on the phone. Good morning, Randy. How are you today?
Hi, Joyce, and we are without power.
You
That
are
storm last night was an awful one for a lot of people.
It sure was. And I just, I wanted to mention just again, I mentioned earlier in the broadcast that there is a 2-hour delay at some schools because there are trees down and no power.
All the Wyndham Central schools are got a 2-hour delay today. But apparently, right now, I was just checking Green Mountain Power to see where the outages were. And right now, there's a lot of people who are without power in Westminster, Putney, Townsend, Newfane, Wardsboro. It just cut a swath through there. I haven't got a complete picture of how many people in New England are without power this morning from the storm that just kind of swept through and last night around 9 o'clock when we lost power. But 50-mile-an-hour winds and hail, a little bit of hail and lots of nastiness.
It was nastiness, and I feel like it's kind of symbolic of the week as a whole. I know for me it felt like a very emotionally charged week, and I know other people felt like it was really sort of a charged, intense week, and then everything going on in the world, and then to have this kind of culmination of the intense hot weather and the intensity of all the things going on the planet with that storm last night felt very symbolic to me. But maybe that's just me.
Well, don't forget the snow on Sunday.
I know. It's like
I mean, some people on the New Hampshire side of the river got about 6 inches of snow. We know Mount Snow did too. So,
Yep.
I mean, there have been weird weather is a given in New England, but to go from snow on Sunday to 90 degrees
90 degrees
on Thursday to a wicked line storm sweeping through getting it all out, and now I'll be back to normal again. Sounds like. Yeah.
Well, whatever that is, normal. But anyway.
Well, normal being, mild as May, which is as the old advertising slogan would go. But 70s in the daytime and 40s at night.
There you go. Well, let's dive in, of course, to the Commons, commonsnews.org, or you can pick it up on newsstands right now. And I'd like to call this edition of our little hit here the Youth Talent Edition.
Yes.
Do you like
it's
that?
Doing good things.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty accurate with how we're going to shape this conversation. And I wanted to start talking about at first this. It's the title of the article is A Noteworthy Weekend, and it's about the All-State Music Festival. I reported on it. I touched on it in my news broadcast last week, but basically, it was the 90th annual Vermont All-State Music Festival, and it was right here in Brattleboro. Students from all over the state coming together to create music, right?
Yeah, and all kinds of music.
Yeah.
The manifestation you saw on the front page of the paper this week was the parade that started the festival on last Wednesday, and it's not. And we all love parades in Brattleboro.
Mm-hmm.
And it just was nice to see all of a sudden, it's the twilight, and all of a sudden marching bands coming up Main Street.
Yeah. and how many students was it? I mean, it was
that for the parade there were 16 bands.
Right.
And locally, there was the Dummerston Guilford school bands.
Yep.
The merged schools. We had, of course, the Brattleboro area middle school and the BF bands, and of course the hosts dressed up in full. They're full, very hot, except not that after that evening.
Yeah.
Uniforms. The Brattleboro Union High School band.
So, band director Steve Rice at BUHS. Um, you he was quoted in this article um, as saying that the number of students in our state that really have a deep commitment to music making and music learning were really represented in this event. And I think that that's true because as I read the article and as I learned a little bit more about it, I mean, there really was a lot of intense practices, and also just the audition process in itself seemed to be pretty arduous for these students.
There's it's this weekend is kind of if you're into to music at school, whether you're doing choral music, whether you're doing jazz, or whether you're in a marching band, this is kind of the big honor.
Hmm.
You get invited to the
Right.
all-state weekend. That means you're a pretty good musician, and you're coming from a pretty good school music program. In Brattleboro, they rotate this weekend, amongst the schools in the state, and it's usually every 10 years that Brattleboro gets the chance to host this event.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was my next question. I wasn't sure, how they.
So, so it's been 10 years since Brattleboro had hosted the last.
Oh, very, very cool though that it was back around. Yeah.
And Brattleboro, in the case of Brattleboro, the reputation of Brattleboro's school music program is it's significant. The band itself has marched. Their last big parade was President Obama's first inauguration in
Mm.
2009.
Mhm.
They've had the bands march in the Macy's Thanksgiving Parade a couple of times,
Mhm.
and they've been around the state too. And Steve Rice has run the program for many years, and he really knows his stuff. And there are a lot of good musicians that have come out of that program of all kinds.
Yeah.
And it's a really nice affirmation about the importance of the arts into the curriculum
Mhm.
at BUHS, and that this is one school that hasn't scrimped on the
The,
arts.
the art program. Yeah. That's a really good point. And I hadn't realized because really what I had talked about in my news segment was um, just that the All State Music Festival and the marching band, the kickoff of the marching band down Main Street. But what I didn't realize until I read the article and looked a little bit more into it, that there was also chorus and jazz band, and all kinds of other stuff. So, really, what a great opportunity for these students, for the community, and to meet new kids, make new friends.
And have
Um,
them camp out over at your house too, because
well, I know.
a lot of the band families or all their volunteers were taking in members from other schools around the state to camp out for the weekend.
Well, I know our own Chris Lenoir and Samira Evans. They hosted two students, so um, he was telling me a little bit about that. So yeah, fun, really fun for everybody, and really nice for the community. And it sounds like it was successful as well.
Always is.
Always is. So um, let's move on to another
Kids
type of
doing good.
art. Sorry.
Another example of kids doing good.
Yeah, another example of kids doing good, another type of art. We're going to talk about the Maple Leaf Writing Project, of course. Um, so this
Yeah.
is for fifth and sixth graders, right?
Yes, and holding them to a pretty high standard
Yes.
of writing.
Well,
You know,
and it goes along again with the marching band. I mean, also a high standard there. So tell us a little bit more about that. What you mean by that?
well, in terms of that, the Brattleboro Elementary School, so Oak Grove Academy and Green Street, they start in the fall,
Yep.
and with an assignment that they have to do a minimum of 2,000 words, a maximum of 3,000 words
Hmm.
of writing, of fiction writing,
Yep.
and under the tutelage of some professional writers. In this case, Jesse Haas, the children's author, was one of the mentors for the program. But
Hmm. Along with her
it's a chance
husband.
for kids to get pushed out of their comfort level and be held to standards that I think even high school kids would kind of blanch at. Write accurately,
Hmm.
grammatically,
Right.
meet a deadline.
Yeah.
What is this deadline thing of which you speak?
Right.
I mean, but once again, you if you set expectations and put people into a position to succeed, they'll surprise you and succeed.
Yeah, and also to be able to take direction from two successful writers, because as you said, Jessie Haas, and then in addition, her husband also, who's also a children's writer, Michael Daly. They were both mentors, and to be able to take direction from them, take that advice, and then apply it to their writing. Yeah, these are really, they're dealing with a real life situation that adult authors deal with as well, as you're saying.
Well, given the general lack of writing skills among the population, and how many people are out there that really don't know how to write a simple declarative English sentence,
Right.
it's good to see some students still getting instruction in how to write.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of those things. I mean, I know there's so much emphasis now on standardized testing and filling out those little circles on the test forms.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
most important skill for any student that will serve them well, no matter what they do, is the ability to communicate in both in the spoken word as well as the written word.
Well said. Indeed. And um we're running low on time here. We got to check in with Arlo, but it wasn't without controversy though, right? So
Not
there
really.
well there okay. I mean, that's a little dramatic, but there was a tie for third.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it happens.
It happens, and they worked it out. So congratulations to those students. Anna Cummings was the first place winner for her story, Let Us Hope There's No Hope Left. Sounds fascinating. I would read a book that's titled that. Second place was Swept Down by the River by Papillon O'Farrell. And then, of course, tied for third, we had Gone by Aleska Seacrest and Finding My Way by Simon Atkinson. Um, and Callie Taylor won Best Illustrator for Leah's Great Adventure. So congratulations to all those students, and congratulations to the teachers and the mentors that helped them through that process. Randy, after we check in with Arlo and a couple of words, we are going to check back in with you.
Okay.
All right. We'll see you on the flip side. 8:42 on this Friday, May 19th, 2017. Wrapping up our final hour of Green Mountain Mornings, but not before we wrap it up with Randy Holhut of the Commons. Randy, are you there?
Yes, I am.
We have made contact, thank goodness. All right. Thanks for coming back.
Okay.
I didn't scare you away the first time.
Yes, we did. But before we get too far along,
all right.
I want to put in a plug for something that's going to be happening this weekend, Sunday,
Yep.
at the Latches Theater at 4
Yes.
o'clock. The Friends of the Brooks Memorial Library and the Commons are teaming up on a film series about journalism. And we picked for the first film of the series a Humphrey Bogart film that not everybody knows about. It's called Deadline USA,
Mm-hmm.
and it's about a besieged city editor of a big city newspaper dealing with corruption and the corruption in the city and his paper about to close, and what happens over a 3-day period of frenzied activity to try and save the paper.
Right.
And break and we'll be there to kind of be the Robert Osborne to introduce the film and talk and lead a discussion about the various themes in journalism it brings up about the importance of a free press. So that's 4 p.m. on Sunday, May 21st at the Latches Theater. It's a free movie, but donations for the Commons and the Friends are welcome and appreciated.
Absolutely. You know, I what a great thing to do. I love seeing old films on the big screen.
Yes, and
Very cool.
This is a great film. It's revered among newspaper people. It's one of the best films about journalism that's been made, and it's Bogart.
Yeah, Bogart also stars Ethel Barrymore and Kim Hunter.
Yes.
Free and open to the public. That's Sunday. Sunday at the Latches Theater, May 21st. Of course, is Sunday. 4 o'clock. Deadline USA. Free to the public, but donations are certainly welcomed, encouraged, and appreciated. So, let's move on to and continue what I like to call our youth talent version of the Commons hit. I like that.
Yes.
I think it's important to celebrate the youth and all the wonderful things they're doing. Um, you wrote about the Colonels winning the unified basketball state title. First time.
No, the program is still new in Vermont.
Right.
The Vermont Principals Association, Special Olympics Vermont, have teamed up last year to introduce a basketball program, and it pairs developmentally challenged kids with other students, and on the basketball court.
Mm-hmm.
So generally, there's two students and three of the special needs kids out there. The students kind of just distribute the ball, and the kids and aren't allowed to score. The other three players do, and it's fun to watch. It really is fun to watch. Watching how the kids interact with each other.
Yeah.
Watching as writing sports, I tend to see this a lot. It's one of the most enjoyable parts of the job of watching teams come together and kids come together, and it's a different experience. And
sure,
especially having seen the Brattleboro team at the beginning of the year, still trying to kind of getting its legs,
mm-hmm.
and they marched through the season with only one loss, and
I know it.
Really played well in the playoffs too. The other team that I wrote about the week before, Leland Gray, this was their first year that they had unified basketball, and they improved by leaps and bounds too.
That's great.
So there are 16 teams in Vermont that are involved in this from up and down the state, and there are probably more next year, and there may be more sports coming that will be on the unified model to try and get kids to know one another.
Right, and
get them normally do.
And get them involved and get them doing things that other students are doing, and yeah, exactly. Get them to know other students where they may not have that opportunity. I have to say this photo of Coach Todd Bell is just so beautiful. I mean, he is so genuinely. You can just see the passion in that photo, and he's so genuinely invested and happy for these kids. It's really great, and he does encourage also, as you said in the article, if there's other students interested in playing next year, to contact him because it even says there's a quote in the article that says it's an absolute joy to coach, and that photo completely illustrates that quote.
Yeah.
So thank you for capturing that.
At personal growth in shared experiences, and for Todd, it was pretty cool too because his son was on the team.
Nice.
As one of the partners on the team, and so a chance for them to share in a state championship is always nice.
Oh, for sure.
And to see these kids that otherwise they would never have a chance.
That's right.
Be able to raise up a state trophy.
Exactly. And it's the first time that a school in southern Vermont took the title. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, this has only been 2 years, but
well, so what? So it's still the first time. Doesn't matter how many years.
Other times, but this particular group of kids can say, "Yeah, we were the first to do this."
Exactly. Yep. And as we said, they finished with a record of 8-1. And looking ahead to next year, and he's going to stay on, and I'm sure a lot of those students will stay on, and they'll have even more kids joining the team. So great for those students. Great for the high school. And another great thing, a celebration of girl power. I love it.
Yes, the girls on the run tomorrow.
I know, and it's going to be a beautiful day for it.
Yes,
I'm so happy for them. So, as it says in the article, this is after a 10-week program. I know my kids are at St. Michael's School, and I mean, I see how the kids are working, and not just the kids are working leading up to this after 10 weeks, but how the parents or the parent volunteers are working towards this, geared towards girls in between the grades of 3rd and 8th grade. And also open, of course, to community members as runners, walkers, volunteers, or sideline supporters. And in the article, it says since 1999, since the inception of Girls on the Run, it's affected 40,000 Vermont girls, which is really awesome.
Well, and are you a volunteer with the St. Mike's program, or?
I'm not. My daughter's not in third grade yet. They did ask me, but I didn't have time in my schedule. What are you doing? Why are you grilling me? I'm supposed to be grilling you.
No,
What is
well, I'm
this?
just looking for somebody that's on the inside that's seen what one particular school does with its program, because just like with the unified program, it's offering kids a chance to push themselves.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And kind of at a vulnerable time. Those tween years can be kind of stressful if you're a young woman.
Really? I had no idea.
No idea.
Not the best time in my life, I will tell you that. I would never go back. So, yes. Not an easy time for sure.
So dealing with all the nonsense surrounding body images and the way women are portrayed in popular culture and the rest of that stuff, to give girls a chance to prove themselves and develop good strategies for coping with a society that's kind of retrograde still.
Yeah, and it also gives them a good dose of confidence.
Yes,
it's a big accomplishment. A 5K, I mean, that's no small potatoes.
Yes,
so
I certainly couldn't do that now.
Yeah, so that's tomorrow, 10 a.m. You can go to BUHS. They'll be at BUHS, and you can go there and cheer them on. Nancy Heidinger, of course, is the executive director,
the founder, and the keeper of the flame.
Yep.
She's done tremendous work.
Yes, she sure has. Wonderful person. And that's going to wrap up our edition of the Youth Talent edition of the Commons.
Yes, we love them, Ute.
Yeah, we do. Well, thanks so much, Randy. If you want to check out the Commons, it's on newsstands right now, or go to commonsnews.org. And I will be back to wrap up this Friday morning edition of Green Mountain Mornings. Randy, thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
You too.